quick disclaimer on this one before we dive in. We were actually on the Zoom for like 2.5 hours, so I had to break this up into two parts. There was really no way to cut it up into a spoiler-free and a spoiler-filled version, so you're going to get two spoilery goodness episodes for the Malazan veterans. And that's why you'll notice some jump cuts here and there, because it makes sense in the context of the 2.5 hour long conversation. But I kind of had to cut it up to make it fit into two episodes. And so we'll give you this one now, and then we'll give it a day or two for me to get the rest of the clips pulled together, and we'll give you that second round. What up, and welcome back to another Malazan Book of the Fallen video. Not a Malazan Book of the Fallen video, Malazan Book of the Fallen video. I'm excited for this one because it's a collab that we've had in the making for a long time. These are two folks that have been active on my channel since almost the very beginning, and that's why I'm super excited. They now have their own channel, and I know you'll be excited too. I've got Ruthann Bad, the High Fist, and Counselor Oxenseller, both from the Unabridged burners, here to chat it up. What's up, guys?
Hi, Iskar.
Hi.
I'm glad to have you, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We really don't have an agenda. We actually were already freewheeling before this whole shindig got going live, so I'll put that in at some point during the conversation. But maybe for those of our viewers out there who haven't stumbled on your channel yet, which what are you doing? And actually, this is going to be my challenge to the community, is that if these two channels, which I'll link down below, don't have at least as many subscribers as this video has views, then what the heck is going on out there? Because it's like some of the best stuff, and just as a fan, I'm super pumped to be able to consume that stuff. So I'll lay down the gauntlet, but maybe we can start with Oxy and then go to the High Fist, just to introduce yourself, talk about your channel for a minute for those of us who haven't met you yet.
Okay, yeah, so I'm Counselor of Moonspawn, or I also sometimes go by Counselor Oxenseller on the Discord. The Discord guys are to blame for that name, by the way. So I actually kind of started my channel because we were having a discussion about the lack of female content creators on MalasTube, and also kind of the overwhelming maleness of the viewers. I think it's similar on your channels probably as well, but I still have like 98% male viewers, which is okay. I love you guys too. But then I think somebody told me, yeah, what about you? Couldn't you start a channel? And I started to consider it, and then I just finally did it because everybody has been so encouraging. And yeah, I started with a response to Iskar's challenge to summarize the series. And yeah, then I did my Malazan and Women video, which was also shared by Stephen Erickson. And since then, I've been doing some discussion videos about Reaper's Gale, because that was the last book I have been rereading. And yeah, by the way, I've read the series once, and now I'm doing a reread, and I'm going to continue with Return of the Crimson Guard and Toll the Hounds next. So
which we'll be basically doing Return of the Crimson Guard almost concurrently, because I got to do that for my podcast with with Pete in about a month or two. So I'll be able to hopefully be active in that channel of the Discord and chop it up with you. But I should say too that funny story about how I finally got her into the Discord, because again, she was commenting on my videos almost from day one, and I always call myself Malazan kind of enthusiast, not an expert. And so if you go back and watch my early videos, I'm always like, confused about what was happening, or I'm like running through stuff and trying to make sense of it. And she would always have these like amazing comments, actually both of you, and that was like how I actively was recruiting into the Discord actually because of that, because the comments were just so good. But then somebody else joined the Discord that had like a very similar name to what your original or what your personal YouTube account name was, and I like promoted this person up, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so pumped that you finally like joined, and gave him all this like privileges in the Discord, and it was a guy, and he's like, I think you have me confused for someone else. And so I told her about that in one of the comments that she left on a future video, and that was what finally roped her into the Discord, I think.
Yeah. Best
funny.
decision ever.
Mr. High Fist, what about you?
So, hey guys, I'm Ruthan Bad, and Ishka and I have known each other pretty much for what, Ishka, about 7-8 months now, maybe almost a year by now.
Yep, I think it was a little bit before those first live streams, before COVID.
Yeah. And I was so happy that someone had started a Malazan channel on YouTube, and if I'm not mistaken, I just used to leave behind funny, goofy comments on the tournaments, right? That's how it started.
Yep.
Because I was really enjoying the concept of the tournament, because I'd never really had a chance to engage with people socially about the Malazan series, and then I joined the Discord server and the channel, and I was just fooling around with the names. I would call myself Bauchelain, Quick Ben, Tehol. I think it got to such a ridiculous point that I was Monarch Orcham at some point, and we turned that into a meme, right? And one fine day, I wake up and I find myself named Ruthan Bad, because my actual name is Nilanthan Niruthan. Right, so Nilan.Niruthan was my name. So Ishka had seen the Ruthan part, and I awoke that morning as Ruthan Bad, and it's been Ruthan Bad since. And as we know from the books, names that are given to you by the sort of the captain of the team, they have a lot of power.
Yeah, and he's lived up to every ounce. So go check out those channels, because they're the straight up bomb. Just again, as a fan, it's legit. What about plans for the future? Do you have anything, or what's your? Because I know for me, I kind of have kind of niche down, I guess, or I kind of see myself fulfilling a specific part of the booktube kind of world, you know, where I try and bring some lightness and comic relief and whatnot, and just straight up enthusiasm. And then I also have a kind of public service commitment where I want to really help folks have like kind of a read along, and so I want to keep doing that. But you guys have such cool stuff. I wonder if you've even thought about that for your channel, or how you fit in, or just what your plans are broadly. Maybe we could keep with the High Fist and let you tag that one first and see.
Yeah, sure. So I just have short-term plans. I'm terrible at long-term plans. And as you said, one of the sort of the exciting things about the Malazan tubing community now is that we all seem to have our own niche, and it's a pretty strong lineup, right? So there's Ishka, Jarak, Counselor, Ruthan Bad, there's Raft, there's Good and Kind, right? Obviously, Philip and Andy, who are sort of booktubers, but they put out first-class Malazan content as well. So this lineup is it's a pretty strong lineup, and all our content is to a certain extent unique in sort of our own ways. No one channel is alike, and that sort of is also a testament to how deep the 10 big books and the overall Malazan books are, that you could have a whole new sort of wave of YouTubers and booktubers, and none of them are alike. They all sort of have their own niches, and we all have different things to provide. So in terms of next videos, I have to do one on Dust of Dreams and the whole the Baga stuff, which is going to be quite controversial. And I also need to do one on libertarianism, particularly Ayn Rand, because Erickson left behind a pretty interesting comment, and it deserves to be given the Ruthen bad treatment. Let's just put it that way.
God bless. I'm excited for that. How about from you, Counselor of Moonspawn? What do you think?
So yeah, I haven't really been making long-term plans that much either. I'm kind of planning to maybe do some Tistandi stuff after I have reread Toll the Hounds, but not before, because it just has lots of Tistandi stuff. And yeah, I'm also thinking about doing a sort of theory video on Rake's offspring or kids or whatever, because we've been doing a lot of theorizing in the spoiler thread, I think about a week ago, and
On how many of them are Rake's son or something like that, right? Rake's son or daughters or something?
Yeah, right. Whatever they are. Just, I mean, I'm having some theories as to why they are there. And yeah, I kind of have this theory that Rake actually planned to have the kids because he knew that he was going to die relatively soonish. So I mean, it's hinted pretty strongly that he had the whole Dragnipur plan for quite some time. So to me, it makes sense that he would choose, yeah, maybe I should have some kids so that when I die, there will be somebody of my bloodline to lead the Tistandi. And if you consider that he then sent them to Drift Avali, I think it makes sense that he chose to have several kids to just maximize the chance that somebody will survive. So don't know if that's true, but maybe.
It seems in character that even in child rearing, he's like this cold, detached calculator.
Oh, Iskar is back. Okay. Yeah, it's actually, that is one of the things I have a hard time forgiving him, that he just basically didn't give his kids any care and love and then just sent them off on an island. Like, worst father ever, honestly.
We accept your apology.
You said it yourself. Come on. Worst father ever.
Boom.
I mean,
But
come
then
on.
on the other hand, are the other Ascendants really good parents? So, I mean, Osric and Lorik, for example, they don't really get along. Then Menandor hasn't really been treating Rat Ilal that well either. So, yeah.
I mean, Osric still helped his son when he was injured. He kind of rescues him at the end of House of Chains.
Yeah, it's kind of, we don't really ever get an interaction between Rake and his kids. So it's harder to judge, I think, because we only get those little flashbacks from Nymander in Toll the Hounds. So, yeah.
Who's pretty
can you
old
imagine
himself.
the? Sorry, go on, Ishka.
No, I was gonna say he's pretty old himself, right? Nymander.
Yeah, we don't know that. I have the theory that he is not actually that old, but I've been talking about that with Nifrog. I always want to say Nifrog. We have been theorizing about that in the spoiler thread, and yeah, I don't know. I might make a video about that after Toll the Hounds. So
yeah, you have to make a Rake's Kids video for sure. I want to see that.
Yeah, I'd really like to do that, but I want to reread Toll the Hounds first because it includes a lot of information about them, and not everything is like completely fresh in my mind.
Nice.
Yes.
So,
and that's probably where they get the most page time. Am I right?
Yeah.
Toll the Hounds.
Yeah.
Really, where all of them kind of get a proper storyline for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was also where Nymander kind of grew on me, because in Reaper's Gale, he kind of seems like, yeah, well, he can barely wipe his own ass, if I am allowed to say it like that. And you kind of expect somebody who is more badass. But then if you learn what these kids have been through, it makes sense, right? So, and I mean, Nymander is a sweetheart, and I kind of like him, actually. So,
I mean, come on, let's not be too generous here. He's a sweetheart by Tistandi standards, perhaps, but he's not exactly a ball of sunshine, as I said in my previous video. They aren't the most sort of a sweetheart wouldn't really be how we describe them. Let's face it.
Yeah. I didn't really mean in terms of like his character or how. No,
He means well.
How happy he is. Like, I mean, sure, they're all depressed, but I just thought he's kind of a nice person. Stop interrogating me like that.
No, he means well. He does. But he does read, I think, in that Reaper's Gale, kind of like a angsty 21-year-old or something like that.
Yeah, he's a bit of an angsty wimp in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But isn't that kind of the entire T. Standy sort of personality?
Yes.
Well,
they're all just so tragic. They're all just so wow. Look at how tragic I am. Look at how sort of poignant I do is, right? That's
yeah. Well, after such a long time, it's understandable if you've lived that long. And yeah, but well, they weren't exactly happy in Forge of Darkness. That's true. But
yeah,
I like me some melancholic elves. Yeah, well, they're not. However, since I'm currently doing a reread, I'm probably going to do some content about the books as I read them. So I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to do with Return of the Crimson Guard because I've never read it so far, but I definitely want to make some discussions about all the Hounds. And yeah, then I probably just do whatever I feel like at the moment. I have 2 more videos planned, like for the near future.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to make some Tistandi stuff at some point. And also kind of something I have in mind for like when I finish the series is kind of talk about my personal evolution since I found out about Malazan the first time, and then just kind of talk about how the series changed me and how I have changed as a reader since then. So
that's
yeah,
a great video idea. I would love to see that, and I think maybe like we could all do that honestly and have, you know, because I think we'd all have such a different take on that and it would all be really interesting. But for me, that's like one of the really cool things. One of the people from the Discord who actually made the logo that we use for the Unabridged burner has like a really cool personal story about how the books like really helped her, and I think that's, you know, a lot of books rebound, right? Matt talks about that and stuff, and so I think that's like one of the cool I think Graceless has like a really personal story about his Malazan journey too, so I think that that's like kind of for me one of the coolest parts of the book, right? Is like he's, you know, you're like dealing with these fantastical things and magic and dragons and all that, but you're like taking all this stuff back to your real life, and it's like pointing the fingers in instead of pointing them out a lot of times, right? And I would love to see this video.
Actually, I had one point I wanted to mention. I just remembered that when you were kind of talking about people, like, kind of like when you feel like the series is helping you in like tough personal situations. And I kind of had that experience as well. And what I think is interesting is that the series, I mean, it's dark and it can be emotionally exhausting, as we all know, and it includes a lot of very serious topics that mirror our own world. So you might kind of conclude that it's a series that tends to make you sad or depressed because it makes you think about so many horrible things. But that was never really the case for me, because often when I've been feeling down, I started to think about Malazan and maybe doing character theory, stuff like that, or like just imagining scenes in my head, and it would always put me in a better mood again. So it's actually kind of an uplifting thing for me personally to think about the series, and I think it's probably the same for you guys too. So yeah,
for me
that's what I wanted to mention real quick.
No, I appreciate that. High Fist, is it what I mean, is that the kind of vibes that you get? Because I know for me that resonates a lot.
Yeah, whenever I feel sad, I read the T. Standy bits, and I realize that sort of as long as I'm never as depressed as this, I'm still in good territory. So yeah.
No, I think for me, it especially like it's kind of part and parcel of my whole journey, you know, intellectually, personally, like politically. It's one of the only books that makes me introspect, really. Like I remember reading Song of Ice and Fire and really feeling like this is different. You know, the characters are, there's no morally good characters and there's a lot of gray, and it made me think a lot, and the political dynamics, right? And it was a lot more about all of the kind of jockeying for power and stuff like that, but I wasn't really thinking about myself that much through those. You know, it was different, and it got, you know, it kind of flipped some of the tropes on their head or whatever. But this one again gets me to look inside, and especially like with my whole thing about Facebook and just the post culture, and why I like the Discord, you know what I mean? And just like having more conversations and not being afraid to be challenged. I remember, you know, that there was like a pretty heated, and I'm curious to know what you guys, maybe we can get your thoughts on this, but I don't know if it's specific to the Malazan community, because it is a book that appeals to a certain type of person or not, but like even the really heated debates remain very respectful. Like just the encouragement for starting channels, it just seems like people are supportive, good people or positive people or whatever. And I don't know if that's you know, something that kind of predisposes you to like the books or something, but it really seems like that, right? And that kind of again ties in with my whole journey of just like, you know, I feel like we're kind of devolving into this echo chamber like society where you read the papers by the people who you already agree with, and the algorithm serves you up articles that it knows you're going to like because you clicked on the other article and blah blah, and you unfollow the other people and stuff, and that's kind of like the antithesis to what the books are trying to tell us. And then, you know, just seeing that reflected back in the community, I'm curious. I know I just rambled on for ages, but I'm curious what you guys think about that.
No, that's a great point. And the other thing that I would add to just supplement that is whenever someone sort of says the Malazan fan community is elitist or snobbish or negative or whatever, just ask them to look at the comment section of the videos that the new Malazan tubers are making. I mean, look at Oxen's videos or my videos or Raf's or everybody who yours, Iskar as well. Just look at the overwhelming sort of positivity there, right? There is no elitism that I can see, right? There is no elitism that I've experienced. And what that tells me is that if at all people have experienced some of these things from Malazan fans, they might not be the hardcore Malazan fan base that we know, because we already have a sample of literally thousands of people at this point. If we look at your channel, and the sort of the data clearly tells us that these people who've clamored to this channel are all overwhelmingly positive. So I think our existence on YouTube is itself an argument against this sort of idea that the Malazan fan community is toxic or arrogant or elitist or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from my personal experience interacting with fellow fans, I totally agree. So I actually have never really been active in a forum before joining Iskar's Discord. And
Me neither.
yeah, from then onwards, my experience has been overwhelmingly positive. So the guys in your Discord, Iskar, are all so incredibly nice. And also the feedback I got on my first few videos has been really, really nice and encouraging. So I think
I know you were worried about that, right? Because you have the extra layer of like being a woman too. So just like the level of internet troll potential is much, much higher. But you're saying it's not so far. You haven't had a rude awakening.
Yeah, not really. I mean, sometimes I think it's a little weird that I'm a girl making content that 98% and 98% of my viewers are guys. It's a little weird, but yeah, well, And
I think that's badass personally, honestly. I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered. You know what I mean? So counsel away.
And honestly, I think the problem with elitists is that there are probably a few people out there who are just assholes and will sometimes treat new people badly or tell them they're stupid because they don't like the series and stuff like that. And I think those people just tend to scream the loudest. So it might give new people the wrong impression that the whole fandom is like that. And I mean, I've seen sometimes a few comments online that maybe came across as a little rude, and I don't really like that because I hate when it throws a bad light on all the rest of us people who are nice and just want to have fun online and have great conversations about the series. So yeah,
that's what's up. I always I'm baffled by those comments where like people will say mean stuff, and I'm like, you read all these books and you're like a super fan of the series, and that's the kind of conclusions that you're coming to. It's pretty funny.
I mean, it's not really being rude to people. That is not the message that the series wants you to get. It's not, treat people like an asshole.
Totally.
Honestly.
I will say, as they blow stuff up guy, though, that it is kind of intimidating, and I think that because the level of conversation that these books warrant is so elevated, that it's impossible to do justice, and just kind of as a someone without a literary background or whatever, who's still trying to make up for lost time in terms of reading and things like that. Some of they're heady conversations, and so approaching them can kind of be intimidating, but I don't think that should be mistaken for hostility. I think people really just enjoy the kind of complexity of the books and the ability to dissect them, and so I think that can sometimes be confused for hostility, maybe, or elitist. It's just you're talking about big smart stuff.
On that intimidation factor, when you have people like Philip, who is an English professor, or then you have somebody who has a lot of philosophical knowledge, or is a historian, or whatever, and then here I am, who doesn't really have a ton of knowledge in those areas, and then I feel like, what can I even contribute, honestly? But enthusiasm, that's what you can contribute.
And perspective, we all come at it from a different perspective. And I think, the High Fist is always joking about the non-Western perspective, but I think that's what's amazing. And I joked about like not being able to come up with a good name for like the United Nations of Malazan, but I think that the different perspectives is what makes the conversation so rich right now.
Yeah, I mean, and we could be a United States of Malazan. We would be a United States that actually, a United Nations that actually does something, right? So maybe our version of it would be pretty productive.
Yeah, there we go. I love it. And it's going to continue to grow. There's so many, I think like it's almost more blue in the Discord now because there's so many ascendants constantly chatting it up than not.
Well, this is what you wanted, Iskar. This is your child.
I'm absolutely in heaven. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And it's gonna be awesome because we have a bunch of new books dropping, and I think we're gonna get a bunch of new people up into the series this year because with Philip's doing his reread, and he's gonna have his read along basically with spacing on the guy's name. We just talked about it earlier. Yeah, with AP, and then Mike's book reviews is also gonna do it, but we also have, more importantly, the books, right? Because we got the Jhistal dropping at some point next year. We have the Karsa Orlong one. I don't know if that's getting pushed back. It was supposed to be next year. I don't know if that gets screwed up because of all the delays and stuff. But then and then we're gonna have the Bauchelain and Korbal Broach, which I know the High Fist is absolutely pumped for.
Yes, I mean, I was just going to say, don't forget whatever extra Bauchelain stories we get on Facebook. I mean, those seem to be the best of the lot. So I don't care how bad Ericsson's handwriting is or whatever. It's actually not. It's actually very readable. But I will learn whatever Chinese if I have to.
Yeah, and then and walk in shadow too. So it's going to be a pretty badass year for Malazan. What are you guys which one of those are you most excited for?
Walk in shadow, probably. But also Karsa.
Yeah. What about you, High Fist? You're looking for Walk in Shadow, I'm guessing.
Walk in shadow, but I mean, let's face it, right? I'm just waiting for the next Bauchelain stories to drop. All the other stuff would be good content for the channel to supplement the channel, but the Bauchelain stuff is where my heart is.
I bet you'll have, if you do some Bauchelain videos, you'll probably have like 100 people watch them, but the like watch duration will be like the entire video because there's some ride or die Bauchelain fans out there. I love those books, but I only read them, or I have the collected, collection of the first and the second volumes or whatever, but they're I could only read them. They don't have the go back and watch Meat Brain a bunch of times over and over again kind of quality for me.
To think that he, the guy who who writes the Bauchelain stories, is also the one who wrote some of the other stuff in the main 10 books. That itself is such a huge sort of what do I say? That captures Ericsson so well. The fact that this guy who wrote the most recent one is also the one who wrote the scene in Dust of Dreams. That is just crazy to me.
Yeah, and he's well, that's like what makes it so crazy is that he's able to put himself in all these different shoes, and I think that's what brings it all to life. That's why I'm always tripped out when people say he doesn't do character well, because it's like, for me, I feel like these are very three-dimensional. Even like characters like Coltane, right, where you never get like a POV on him, and it's all through the eyes of Diker or Duker. That feels very real to me. I love the character work.
Yeah, and honestly, if his characters were so bad, then why are we crying all the time when a character dies? Or like what he also does is that he introduces a minor character, and then we follow that character for like 2 or 3 pages, and then the character dies, and you're still devastated.
Yeah.
So
Books Rebound points out that Beak was in just 23 or 28 pages in the entire book. Can you believe that? Beak was just in 28 pages in the entire book.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things that made me famous with Iskar was I would always say R.I.P. Beak. We will never forget you in all the videos. 28 pages. That's it.
Yeah, and that would be a cool video in and of itself, is like why how does he make characters like that hit so hard, and he manages to do it just like with, again, no POVs really, I think, right, from Beak. They feel very, very real. The one thing neither of you mentioned, which I'm going to hold you to though, is nobody said more collabs with Iskar Jarak. So I'm going to actually get you on the record here to commit at least to doing at least one more collab with me in the future.
I wish every video that you did was a collab video with me. That's all I can say.
I felt like it's not even necessary to mention future collabs, honestly.
Okay, good. Yeah,
goes without saying.
Collab every single day on the Discord server.
That's right. Yeah. So which
it
shameless
just be a matter of filming it.
That's right. So and maybe we can even do that. And I think, we have so many ascendants in there. We have to have like our own little Brady Bunch type of get together sometime, because the voices, and I should mention too, also just like logistically, and we never ended up coming up with a good name, but I thought we should do something like the United Nations of Malazan or something, because we're all over the world right now. I think we're in 3 different time zones. It's like 6 or 7 in the morning for me. What time is it for you, Oxy?
It's 5 p.m.
5 p.m. And the High Fish should be out drinking beer probably right now.
It's 9:30 on a Saturday night here, but thankfully one of my friends had a small get together in the evening, so I did manage to have my fill of vice before I returned home. So
Okay, good. So I don't have to feel too guilty for ripping you away.
A little guilty, but not too much.
Okay, good. Yeah, a little guilt's healthy. You know, I'm a pro at self-inflicted shame and whatever. What about something lighter though? Can we not counting the people in this, you know, because obviously you know, I have the best looking Malazan channel and also just the best period, but no, I'm kidding, but you know, who else
He's not kidding.
I mean, look at this. You know, I told you as soon as I used my face in the thumbnail, that's when the channel just started doing the exponential growth. And so, you know, sky is the limit from here on out. But there's so much good content out there. I'm curious who's your favorite, or you know, what videos do you find yourself really excited to watch? And I'm glad we're doing this today because now we can even have Nif up in the mix as a potential. But then I'll let the counselor maybe go first, and then I'll give mine at the end.
Ooh. So first of all, I liked your thumbnail. I think you just looked exactly like a crazy sapper. Kind of is. I think Hedge is the one who doesn't really have a lot of hair. Am I remembering that correctly?
I think so.
I think he's wearing a hat, isn't he?
It's like burned off, and he wears the helmet because his like scalp's all jacked. Yeah, that's me. So, there it is.
Yeah. Okay, you were Hedge in the thumbnail. Okay, yeah. Content I like to watch. Do you mean more
Malazan?
About Malazan.
Yes.
Okay. Ooh. So kind of what I'm thinking about spontaneously is that we don't really have enough theory content on YouTube. Because I feel like in the Discord, we are making up a lot of theories. And one of the problems here is that it's hard to make theories that are really based on facts, because there aren't really facts, or you know what I mean, unreliable narrator and all that stuff, and some inconsistencies. So whenever you're making a theory, you have to keep in mind that maybe it's completely wrong, because the one point you're basing it on maybe just was an unreliable narrator. So I actually kind of like watching people reading Gardens of the Moon for the first time, because it's always really entertaining to hear people's first impressions. And what I also like is when new people make up theories. Even if they're wrong, I just think it's interesting to see. And also you can kind of notice when somebody is actually having deeper thoughts about the series. Those are usually always the ones who end up really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And what else do I like?
So like a reading with Livia would be a good one.
Discussion videos that make you think, but maybe sometimes I almost feel like we have a bit of an overdose of discussion at the moment. So not that that is bad, but it kind of gets to the point where it is hard to keep up. So now we have that 2.5-hour interview from Claudia.
Yes.
That I still haven't watched Ruthan's last video. I'm so sorry. I just didn't really have the time yet. And with so many new content creators, it's getting hard to catch up. So that's also why I'm planning a more fun video for the next video I want to make, because I think we must not forget that we should also have some fun on the channels.
That's what I was telling the High Fist before you jumped on, is like, this is the first, you know, the last couple of weeks is the first time ever where I haven't been able to keep up with every single Malazan video that hits YouTube, which is just tells you what an awesome time it is to be alive. So I'm curious too for the High Fist. And I know we talked about that interview with AP. That's got to be pretty high up there. But what's your favorite Malazan content to watch at the moment?
So most of our guys in the Discord server, I would say, produce the best content at the moment. Right? So Raf, Good and Kind, Graceless, Philip and Andy. There are just a few who sort of are outside of our server who whom I follow, the ones that I mentioned earlier, like MND Fantasy Read Along. I'm not a big fan of book reviews. I am not a big fan of people sitting up there with sort of one specific thing and a 10-minute or 15-minute conventional book review of something. If you do dive into a book, in my opinion, you need to do it the way that Counselor did it, where you go into, or even the sort of the Don't Listen to This Podcast guys, where you sort of go into each individual storyline rather than just the usual keywords and jargon and terminology that you would throw around for a 10-minute book review, right? So in terms of the Malazan content that I enjoy, my ego and my sense of objectivity both tells me that our Discord server at the moment, our Discord channel at the moment, produces by far the best content. I would even go so far to say that this lineup would do pretty well against any lineup of booktubers who focus on any epic fantasy or work of fiction.
I love it. Yeah. And I think if you're a vet and you want to talk books and stuff, I mean, I can't keep up, but that spoiler channel of the Discord is amazing. I mean, you're talking about, theories that are fleshed out with research and citations back to book chapters and stuff. And like, I bet you 60% of the traffic on that Malazan Search of the Fallen is coming out of our Discord, because people are always like fishing out super dope quotes. And it's just a great time to be alive. The two that I'm going to shill for is that I think are underappreciated and have been around, I think, just as long, if not longer, than my channel, and yet for some shameless reason are way undersubscribed in my opinion. And that is Graceless Passion, both because the quality of the discussion, right, just very smart and well researched, and he does external stuff outside of just the books, like watching the interviews and all of that stuff, but also the production value too. So just as like a sheer quality entertainment, like enjoyable watching experience, he knocks it out of the park. And the other one is Cal from Really Good and Kind. He has a lot of bit videos, if you will, where he's doing a bit, and he has a lot of lighthearted like song videos, like Calor singing Coldplay and stuff like that.
Calor singing Coldplay. You need to watch that. Everybody, once you're done with this, you need to watch that. Steven Erickson, if you're watching this, you need to watch that. That is hilarious.
It's the best. And it's it takes, like, I think you said in one of your videos, Hyphus, that he or that Tahol says like humor is like the true sign of intelligence. I think if you can take that humor and then do it musically, right, like that is next level. Cal is like, and you see it in his serious videos too. Like if you go to Really Good and Kind and watch the Warren breakdown or something like that, in his serious videos, you could see how smart. And so I think people must not get the bit or something like that, or just haven't stumbled onto it enough yet, because, and he has multiple songs and they're really good and funny, and a mix of serious videos too. So those would be the two that, how they've been around for almost a year or whatever, and are still undersubscribed like that. I think we should change that, and you'll just be doing yourself a favor by watching that content, because it's the jam. Cool.
By the way, can we just give a shout out to two more Malazan podcasts as well?
Yes.
The MND fantasy play along guys, the two guys, they are excellent.
Yeah.
So, they are really excellent. They put out great content. And there's another one called the Don't Listen to This Podcast or something. They have a bunch of political stuff that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, but the Malazan videos that they do deserve a lot of views. They do these hour-long reviews of each individual book, and they go into each storyline. The fans would really like that, the stuff that they put out.
The one guy, yeah, and I like the setup because it kind of has a similar setup to the 10 Very Big Books podcast, right? Because you have the one guy, and I'm terrible for not knowing the guys' names, but you have the one guy who's kind of like the vet, right? He's the pro. He's read these in and out. That dude knows a lot. And then you also kind of have
He's amazing.
that guy straight up G, and then you get the buddy who's like reading it for the first time, so you kind of get his like newbie reaction, like, and he always goes in like, and his eyes are like this big when they're talking about the books. It's pretty classic. So yeah, we'll call that one a wrap for the first episode. We still got into a lot more super juicy, fun conversations, predictions for the next books, and over and underrated characters, and actually got into some controversy, which was pretty fun too. So we'll leave it there. Thank you so much to the Counselor of Moonspawn and Ruth Ann Bad for coming onto the channel and blessing me with their goodness. I'm hoping some of that mojo rubs off on old Iskar Jarak here, and we'll leave it there for this one. And you can like it, subscribe, but more importantly, go like and subscribe on those channels. I want to see those subscriptions go up where they belong. And so we'll leave it there. Until next time, happy reading.